Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. In this video, I will show you the basics on how to design in Nova, and then in the second part of the video, we will design a screen together to see the designer in action. Let's start. First of all, let's have a quick look at the interface of the designer. This is the board where you can create and edit your designs. It's here where you visually create your app. In the top of the designer board, you can find the toolbar with the following tools: Selection tool, Screen tool, Container, Text, and the Widget Picker. On the left side, you can find the outline, where you can see all your screens and widgets, and you can reorganize them. If you double-click on an item in the outline, it will be focused on the board. And if you select something on the board, it will be highlighted in the outline. When you select something on the board, on the left you can see its details panel. Here you can change properties like color or sizes, and much more. Let's now have a look at screens. To create a new screen, click on the Screen tool. Here you can pick a template or start from scratch. Give a name to the new screen and press Create. To resize the screen, I can pick another device size in its details panel or resize it manually. The home screen is the first screen of your app. You can recognize it by this home icon next to the name. If I click on Play to test the app, this is the first screen that I see. To change the home screen, select another screen, go on the Details panel and select Make Home Screen. Now, if I play the app, the first screen changed. Let's have a look at the screen properties and how to add navigation widgets. Select a screen. On its properties, you can change its color and add widgets. Click on the button next to App Bar, search for App Bar, and now we added one to the screen. To modify its styling, click on the Edit button, and from here you can modify its properties. The same steps can be repeated also for other widgets, like button navigation bar and floating button. From the toolbar, you can open the Widget Picker. Here you can search and find the default widgets, but also custom components that you create. One of the most common widgets is the container, a flexible widget that enables many design options. You can quickly access it from the toolbar. These are its main properties. By clicking on the small square with the color preview, you can select a color using the color picker that you want to be the fill of your container. By clicking on the plus icon next to the border property, a border around the container will appear. You can change the color and the width of the border. You can make the corners of your container rounded by modifying the number in the radius property. You can also fill the container with an image. To achieve this, select the container and click on the plus icon next to the image property. You can fill the container with images from the web. To do it, copy and paste the URL from an image in the URL property and press Enter. You can also fill the container with images from your assets. Select the Assets tab in the Details panel and pick an image from your existing assets or upload a new one from your local files. The reason why the container is very powerful is because it can be used also to contain other widgets to create different effects. When you select a container, you will see the button Add Widget at the top of its properties. From here, you can add other widgets as children of the container. This feature is useful, for example, for adding a background to icons or text. This behavior introduces us to the next topic, wrappers. Their main purpose is to pass some UI or functionality properties to their children widget. To add the wrappers, select a widget, click on the Add a Wrapper button in the Details panel, and you will see a list of wrappers, and from here you can select them. Once you add a wrapper to a widget, you can modify its properties from the Details panel. To remove a wrapper from a widget, click on the three dots next to its name and select Remove. Let's design a simple card as an example for these features. Start by drawing a container with the Container tool. Let's now click on Add Widget and select Icon. You can now modify the properties of the icon. Let's, for example, increase the size. If we scroll down, we can see the container that now acts as a wrapper for the icon, and we can modify it. Let's add an image. To make the icon more visible and make the image look more like a background, we can add another container as a wrapper. To make it visible above the container with the image, we need to reorganize the order of the wrappers by dragging them. Now we can pick another color for the container and decrease the opacity to reach this effect. Let's now go in the icon properties and change the icon from the library. Let's now select the text tool and write something. In the properties of the text, I can change the color, and I do the same also for the icon. To personalize even more, I choose another font for the text. Let's now introduce components. Components are a powerful feature that makes the design process more efficient. It allows you to create reusable widgets and have them connected. These components can be easily modified and maintained through your app to ensure a consistent design. To create a component, select the widgets and group them using Command or Ctrl-G. With the group selected, go on the top of the Details panel and click on the Component button. Now you can name the component. These widgets are now grouped together in a component. Let's see how the components can be used for designing. Click on the main component we just created and copy and paste it. Drag and drop the copy inside the screen. Duplicate the component multiple times. Let's say now I want to change something in the design of these cards. I can do it quickly and easily. Select the main component and change the property of its widgets. Like, select another color for the icon, and the color will change across the copies of the component. You can also add wrappers to the component. Let's add a radius. By adding it to the main component, it will be added also to all its copies. Components become even more powerful when we add variables. We can attach variables to the properties of the component that we want to vary in its copies. Let's see it in action to understand better. On the main component, go to the property you want to add the variable to, for example, to the image on this card. Click on the name of the property and select Create Variable. Let's do the same for the text. Click on the property name and create a variable. Now, if you select any of the copies of the component, you can modify the value of the variables from the Details panel. In its way, you can display different content and data by maintaining the design style of the main component. Let's now design a screen together to see all these features in action. Click on the Screen tool and create an empty screen. From the Details panel, let's add an up bar. Click on the Edit button next to it to modify it. Let's change the text value, the font size, and also the font family. We can now add some more buttons to the up bar. From the Details panel, click on Leading and search for Icon. Let's edit the icon and pick a menu icon. Now we want to add the profile picture on the other side. Select the upper again and click on the plus button next to Actions. Click on the placeholder and select the image widget. Let's now edit the image widget and add a profile picture. And also a radius wrapper to make it round and a padded wrapper to create some distance from the edge of the screen. Let's now add some text with the text tool. You can change the layout of the text to be auto so that the text cell takes the same size of the text. You can customize the text as you want with font, size and colors. I now select both text widgets I created and I press Command or Ctrl-G to group them. From the Details panel, I changed the orientation of the group to be a column and fixed the alignment. If you want to learn more about layout, check out our tutorial How to use Layout in Nova. I also select the screen and change the orientation of it to be also a column. Now, the widgets are inside the column. They are aligned vertically, so I need to adjust the padding. I click on the group with the text widgets and add a padding wrapper. Let's keep going by adding more stuff in the screen. Open the Widget Picker and look for the Tab View widget. Let's change the layout of this widget to be Expand, so it will fill the entire screen. I want to now modify the name of the tabs. I click on them, and from the Details panel, I click on the Edit icon. I call the first one Recipes and adjust the font. I repeat the same steps for the other tab. We now want to create the content for the first tab. Let's create a recipe card. Start by drawing a container and then add some text. Now select both widgets and group them. Change the orientation of the group to column and fix the spacing and alignment if needed. Let's now select the text and change fonts and sizes. Let's also put its width to expand. Let's do the same for the container. Let's now add an image inside the container from the Details panel and change the border radius. Select now the group and create a component. Let's now duplicate this component a couple of times. Select the copies and group them. Select the new group and change its orientation to be a column. Let's add even more cards. Go in the Details panel and change the number of children in the column. Select the column height to be auto. Let's adjust the spacing between the cards. If I resize the column, I want the card to be responsive, so I select them and set the width to be expand. Now that the column is ready, let's turn it into a component and give it a name. Select now the tab, and from the Details panel we can change the content. Click on the first tab and search for the component we just created with the column. Now it's displayed in the tab and it's also responsive. We want to have some padding too, so we select a component with a list of recipes and add a padding wrapper. Let's now select the first component we created, of the simple card, and add variables. Select the container and create a variable with the URL of the image. Do the same with the text widget. I can now go in the list of cards and modify the variables with the content I want. Let's do it for all cards. Now that we added some content, we want to make this list scrollable so all the recipes can be seen in the screen. Select the column and add a scroll view wrapper. Make sure that the direction is set to vertical. Now, if we play the app, we can scroll and see all the recipes in the list. Let's now repeat the same steps to create a list of groceries in the second tab. Draw a container and add some text in it. Open the Widget Picker again and add a checkbox. Select all widgets and group them. This time, change the orientation of the group to a row. We need now to add some padding, so click on the wrapper button and add padding. We want the padding to be inside instead of outside, so we can drag it above the container in the details panel. Let's now change the container color and also add some radius. Select a row and turn it into a component. Now duplicate the component a couple of times and group the copies and put them in a column. Also here, change the width of the card to be expand to make it responsive. Now let's add more children to the column. We want to now add the variable in the main component in the text widget, and we can modify its values in the copy of the component with some example. Select now the column and turn it into a component. Now go back to the tab widget and connect the second tab to the list of groceries we just created. Also, in this column, let's add some padding and a scroll view wrapper. Let's complete the design by adding a floating button to the screen. Select the screen and from the Details panel, let's add a floating button. We can customize it as we want. Now the design of your screen is ready. Thanks for watching and see you at the next tutorial.